Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Daniel Garza, and this is a very special episode of Put It Together. Welcome to the show. I want to start by showing a disclaimer for those of you watching the show today. I'm sorry, my camera seems to be a little off there. Let's see if I can fix it while we're on. For those of you, give me a second. There we go. The following conversation may contain sensitive topics. Please exercise discretion and be mindful of your own comfort level. If you feel uncomfortable at any time, please log off. This conversation is intended for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. If you're experiencing distress or require assistance, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional. I wanted to make sure that we get that out there for those of you. And I'll fix my camera in just a second. Today's episode, we will be talking about 90 minutes later documentary. And let me just give you a little information on that. It's a feature-length documentary about actor Vanessa Marquez, who was shot and killed in her home by police during a 90-minute-long wellness check. Marquez, who suffered from both physical and mental illnesses, was best known for the television series ER and her breakout role as Ana Delgado in the 1989 film Stand and Deliver. Her co-stars from this seminal film attempted to uncover the circumstances of the shooting, obtain the unavailable police body-worn camera footage, and seek justice on her behalf. And on today's show, we have both the director and one of the actors, Villarreal and Cyndy Fujikawa. Cyndy, first of all, thank you again for contacting me and asking me to do this. I appreciate the trust in speaking of such a sensitive topic. And Daniel, it's a pleasure to meet you. For those of you watching, we met in a hurry just to be production. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves because I want to do justice to their story. So Cyndy, remind them who you are.
My name is Cyndy Fujikawa, and I am an actor and writer and producer and director. And Daniel Garza and I know each other from a play that I recently directed in Los Angeles called The Spy Who Went Into Rehab. And that's how we met. And Daniel Villarreal and I know each other through other endeavors, including a couple of movies that we've worked on together. But we're very, very close friends and became even more bonded over this terrible tragedy that happened to Daniel's friend, Vanessa Marquez. And we decided to embark on a journey together to try and get to the bottom of what happened to her and how it could be avoided in the future for other people who suffer from mental illness.
Thank you, Cyndy. And Daniel, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Daniel Villarreal. I was mainly an actor for a few years back. I was in Stand and Deliver and American Me and Speed and some TV shows. I grew up in East LA. I started out as a photographer. I became a performer. I worked with a Chicano avant-garde group called ASCO. And then I met Ramon Menendez, who ended up directing Stand and Deliver. And I became part of the production and the cast. And that is how I met Eddie Olmos. And then I went on to work with him on American Me. Vanessa Marquez, who is the subject of our documentary, was my co-star on Stand and Deliver. That is how we met. And I met Cyndy through a friend of mine when we were trying to make one of our scripts into a movie.
Thank you. And I'm showing on the folks, for those of you that may not be familiar with Vanessa's work, that's her in Stand and Deliver. And that's one of the really cool parts of the movie. So just so for those of you, I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge her. And we'll have more pictures and more stuff in a minute. But so I just finished watching the documentary, and it definitely pushed some buttons. And why was this story? Let's start with that, Daniel. Why was this story so important for you to be part of and tell?
Well, as I was saying, Vanessa was our dear friend and family member, our movie family member, and when she was shot and killed by the South Pasadena Police Department, it just shook everybody up. It's just like such a tragedy. So because of that, we all came together and we felt that we had to we have to honor her. We have to seek justice, and then we have to look at the bigger picture of what is really still going on right now. Police brutality and mental health issues where people who are ill, who are not well, are treated like criminals.
Thank you. And before we jump, I'm going to show this for the folks watching. If during the show, if you have any information, if there's something we're not answering or we can't answer for you, please contact NAMI. Here is their information and the website. Go to them if you have any questions on mental health. Let me ask you this, because as a Latino, and I was diagnosed with agoraphobia several years ago, a mild side of it. And for those of you who don't know what agoraphobia is an extreme or irrational fear of entering open or crowded places, of leaving one's own home, or being in places from which escape is difficult. And I can only testify from my side. Sometimes it just seems very rational in your head. Sometimes it's just so real that you're about to leave your house and everything outside that door is going to harm you or hurt you, or you won't be able to make it back to your apartment. And for a lot of us, particularly after COVID, it just heightened up because we were home for so long that it became a sanctuary. Was there something, Daniel, about mental health that you learned that you probably didn't know before you started this whole process?
Well, not something that I didn't know. It just became so much more important and apparent, and something that we just could not look away from.
Hmm.
I believe, I mean, my own opinion, I think that all of us to a certain degree suffer from one sort of illness or another, that most of us end up self-medicating.
Yeah, it has been kind of proven that we all have a phobia of some sort, whether you have agoraphobia or you just have, maybe you're just afraid of spiders. There's everybody suffers from something. And something that I found really interesting while I was watching is that within the Latino community, we are even more secretive, and there's so much stigma and shame when it comes to mental illness. No hablamos. We don't talk about it. Esas cosas, in Spanish, esas cosas no se hablan. We don't talk about those things. And I remember growing up wanting to go to therapy for personal things. And my parents were like, ponte a trabajar, get to work. And there was always this mentality of, as Latinos, we don't suffer from mental health. You're just bored. Get a job. Ponte a limpiar, my mom would say.
Yeah.
Get to cleaning. What's your thought on that process, on that?
Cyndy,
Oh, well, I mean, I do think there is stigma, no matter where you go. But yeah, I've heard this before, that there is definitely stigma in Latino communities. In fact, I think we have an actress at the end of the film who mentions it. But that also what Vanessa personally went through, first of all, being a trailblazer for actors of color and women and Latinas, to then be in a work environment like the set of ER, 27 episodes. I mean, that's and holding her own with with all of those well-regarded, emerging, super talented guys, largely men. I mean, I'm sure as this one actress says at the end, it would take a toll on anyone, let alone someone who's already kind of got a few strikes against her, yeah, that's my 2 cents. Also, that I, in my own family, have had, as Daniel said, I mean, I think we all have know are suffering from, or know someone suffering from some sort of mental health issues. I have had, as recently as 2 weeks ago, someone in my work environment just completely exhibit things that we had no tools to help him with. And certainly I've seen it in my own family. Sorry, I'm rambling now, but yes, I agree. There is a stigma, and it is much more rampant than anyone would maybe care to acknowledge.
We have a comment on the board here that says, I have a form of agoraphobia after COVID-19. It has taken a lot of self-work and therapy with a professional to get back out there without fear and anxiety. It's very deliberate. I just lost the word, but it knocks you down. Something like agoraphobia, something like that.
Debilitating?
Debilitating, thank you.
Yeah.
And I know, yeah, I should learn English to be able to do interviews, but it's very debilitating to already have a mental illness, and we forget how extreme COVID was for a lot of those who were agoraphobic or any kind of social anxiety. Can I go back a little bit and ask, how did the conversation between you two happen? Can you take us back to that moment where you're like, hey, let's do this?
It's your turn, Daniel.
Well, it all began, when we found out what had happened to Vanessa.
And tell us what happened while we're there. So, yeah.
Excuse me?
And tell us what happened since we're there.
Well, that we found out through Facebook and then on TV that Vanessa had been shot and killed by the police. And although, we were surprised and shocked, it was like, well, it wasn't like something that we didn't think maybe, something would happen, because she had been having a lot of problems, a lot of issues. But when we found out that she was no longer with us, we decided that we were going to honor her, and then we were going to have a memorial for her. And at the time, not that long before, her husband had passed away, and she had this really beautiful memorial for him. So I approached her and I said, could you help us with this, And when we were doing the memorial, I said,
for Vanessa.
For Vanessa, I said, when we're done with this, we're going to get on and find out what happened. Because at that point, we knew very little about what had happened. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to get in touch with people, and then I'm going to find out. I'm going to get to, let's get to the bottom of this. And then Cyndy said, maybe you should bring a camera, And Cyndy had made a documentary before about her father. And I said, why don't you bring the camera? And so that's how we roped her into directing. She was there.
Yeah.
Now, although this story is about Vanessa Marquez and her story and what happened to her, what, in your thoughts or your opinions, is the influence that it will have in the mental health community, in the Latino community?
Indeed. Your turn.
Well, I think obviously, ask for help. You got to start there. Secondly, if you see somebody struggling, reach out. I mean, it could have lethal, it could have fatal consequences, as it did in this situation. And it didn't need to happen. But I think more importantly for me is, follow your dreams. I mean, aside from everything that happened, by the way, her agoraphobia had nothing to do with COVID-19. She had been kind of in a downward spiral for years. But what she did with her life versus what happened to her, I think, is what we really want to emphasize. that she lived her truth. She had a dream for herself, and she just didn't let anything stand in the way of pursuing that dream. And she, opened doors for a lot of other people. It had a terrible ending, which was avoidable, very, very avoidable, with better resources and better, access to mental health and to law enforcement than we currently provide. But what she did with her, with her spirit, with her art, with her talent is, I think, what we really want to shine a light on, even more so than what happened. Now, what we end up doing in the film is we cut together, moments of her career and interviews with other people, but we also include the absolute, moronic steps made by the police in the attempt to, rein her in, all shot by them, because this is their body camera footage that we use.
Right.
So it's a combo platter of her work and their work. I never put it like that, but I think that's kind of the two juxtaposed.
I don't mean to block you out, Danielle, but there's a long comment here for you folks.
Okay.
I can so relate. I know we're having Danielle. I can so relate to this topic myself, being raised in a family. There's a humongous stigma on mental illness. For myself, looking back, I believe that one of my sisters had some kind of mental illness. My mom unfortunately chose to ignore it and didn't want to hear and experience it. As a result of this carelessness on my mom's part, my sister made very bad choices. And as guests out of this picture, sad, but when it comes to the particular subject, it has to be done 100%. Yeah, we want to, but we also, as Cyndy says, we.
Sorry, so
I was 17.
Live commentary.
Pardon?
This is live. People are making comments as we go along.
Right now. Yes, this is
Well,
live.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah. So you're welcome to answer.
Bring it on.
You're welcome to answer any of the two comments that have popped up. But I was going to say, I was 17 when the movie came out in 1988, and I was living in Monterrey. I was going to school in Mexico, and I went to the movies to see it, and I remember just being so influenced. It's what actually pushed me to go into drama at school. I was like, if these, I mean, you were actors, but I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. So just so you know that y'all were a huge influence, at least on this little Mexicano and the way it goes. So, and then watching her grow into ER, which was, I mean, the original Grey's Anatomy was ER. We all watched it. And having a Latina on that show was very instrumental for me, and being like, okay, I can pursue this. She's next to George Clooney. Like, if she can do it, I can do it. So I want to focus a little bit on that, on the influence that you too, Danielle, like the influence that y'all had on the Latino community.
All right. Well, I started out with Stand and Deliver, and then I was influenced by Eddie Olmos. He had been in that Luis Valdez play when I was 17, like you were. I went to see the play where he played El Pachuco, and that was amazing. It was the very first time that we saw ourselves on a stage like that, and that we were seen as like really cool people who could sing and dance and dress well and were extremely handsome, So I was like, hey, I want to do that. I wanted to be like Eddie Olmos and, hopefully like maybe have some talent, a little bit of talent, because he's the man, and then meeting him and getting to work with him on Stand and Deliver, that was like amazing, and that movie had that quality to it, which, brings me to Vanessa. It's like, we were so lucky to get her, to find her. And the way that she came into this world, it was a blessing. And then also it was her undoing. It was like, on the one hand, it made her incredibly resourceful, and she persevered and nothing could stop her. And she wanted to be the best, But on the other hand, she had such a very small amount of tools to work with, that she was the only child. She was raised by her mother. They didn't have any other family. It was just the two of them, and then I think mom had a few issues of her own, so Vanessa managed to do everything that she did just incredibly just on her own.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, when I met her and she was 18 years old, she probably weighed like 50 pounds. She was tiny. But at the same time, there was this incredible power that she had, that I guess, all of us did in Stand and Deliver. All of us kids, we were all brand new. And I mean, we're just incredibly blessed that, to come together. It was just one of those moments.
I mean, she definitely was. She lent authenticity to that story, as did Daniel. Yeah, as did Mr. Olmos.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I think for any Latino who was a teen in that era and watched the movie, it inspired you, no matter what form. I don't want to give away too much of the documentary. Let me, before we
give it away. No,
do
it.
In memoriam, and that's been an argument with the union for a long time about leaving out folks in the memoriam. There's a part in the documentary where y'all are watching the show, the award show, for those of you watching, and they skip over. How did that impact you, and what was the conversation after?
Well, I mean, as you could probably guess, we were supremely, disappointed. I mean, we were not expecting them to do the right thing, because they never do, but we were hoping. This was at the Academy Awards, the Emmys, and the Screen Actors Guild and the Gold. None of them had mentioned her. And not just her. It's like other of our our great actors, like Lupe Ontiveros was omitted. And then they just keep doing it. It's like they keep perpetuating this thing that we don't exist still.
Yeah. And it hurts. People don't realize. People sometimes saying like, well, you're actors, you probably never met them, and what's the connect? But as a Latino, again, and I only can come from that angle because I'm Latino, but coming from that angle, you're like, ¿por qué no? Like, why do you forget? And I'll be honest, there was a certain sadness, anger, trying to understand that I was going through while I was watching the documentary. And as I was coming to the end, it left me on this seesaw of feelings. I wasn't sure. You're like, okay, well, I understand how this happened, but I also understand why this happened. What I know, it's kind of hard to like tell people like this is what you're supposed to feel in this documentary, Cyndy. But what is your hope? How do you want people to walk away from 90 minutes later?
I guess let's take this terrible outcome and take action. Whether it's action in, I mean, your podcast is put it together. Whether it's action in your own life and your own decision making, certainly to tell the story of what police action and use of guns, well, we're all well aware of how crazy things have gone in terms of police response to mental health calls, and they had no idea that this was someone who the community, that people cared about. So she's the only reason why. Maybe this is one thing I would like to bring to light. The only reason why we're even having this conversation and showing this right now is because she was visible. So many people are completely invisible and are just erased. So all of the above, representation, living your truth, and certainly, what inspired me in this project, and I think that we're starting our own circle here, is the love, the love that people as friends and extended family members can provide to one another, even in memoriam, even posthumously.
Yeah, and also because directly because we are the children of Jaime Escalante, we turn negatives into positives,
Yeah.
and we have the ganas, and that's all you need. Always, it's very simple. If you have the ganas, like with Vanessa, nothing will stop you. Like with us, nothing's gonna stop us. It's taken us 5 years to get to this point, and I really think that this documentary will find its way. The way that they would show Stand and Deliver in classrooms. People will show this movie, and I think that like as you saw in our documentary, there's a lot of little Vanessas out there, and it hopefully
And,
the
and
film
Alondra is one of them, and you notice she's in the documentary, right, Daniel?
from
Yeah.
the play, yeah,
Yeah.
and so it will show the young Vanessas of today that they're not alone, that they have someone in their corner.
So folks already want to know when the documentary is coming out and where they can find it. So we're going to give you some website and the Facebooks and connections to go through. But where can people find it? Where can people see it?
Well, this Wednesday in Lyndhurst, New York, at the New York Long Island Film Festival, we will be showing the film. I just sent you a link to the poster in the patch.com. We will post announcements on our Facebook page and our Instagram page and on Twitter for streaming information, which we hope it will be streaming before the end of the year. On Prime and on Tubi, and hopefully Apple. Yeah, so we're pulling all that together this year, by the end of this year.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
for
you're gonna have to check the web. We don't have a website. You're gonna have to check the probably the Facebook page is your best bet.
And we've come up to the 30 minutes. Can you both spare a couple more minutes so we can go some of the comments?
Sure.
So he says, the whole case to me seems to have been suppressed from all angles. Is it racism? Is it just old entertainment thinking? Is it just a failure of the time in which this happened? I mean,
it's all of the above. It's everything. It's the industry has changed. There are so many more possibilities now for people of color. But it's still unfortunately it's still a man's world. It's like I mean, if you look at the WNBA and what those players are making compared to what a rookie in the NBA makes, it's just ridiculous. And then they say, well, because nobody's watching. It's like, well, because you're not making it available, because you have rigged the system in a certain kind of way that doesn't give people opportunities.
We have another comment. It says, another long one. We're going to hide Danielle again. Also, in Latin American families, say, for example, tend to discourage their children when it comes to their kids wanting to chase and achieve their dreams and goals. Because a lot of the time, parents completely discourage them and saying that what you're wanting to achieve is not for you and it's not for people like us. Yeah. And that's very sad, because now that I'm getting older, I feel that when our Latin parents were kids themselves wanted to achieve something that they really wanted to, it got cut off. There was a little part to it, but it got cut off. But yeah, I mean, that's another part of this questions. Is
well, I'll tell you, something that maybe a little funny. When I was a teenager, and I was a little punk rocker, and I was taking photographs, and my schedule was, everything started when the sun went down, and I went to concerts and parties and openings and wherever people were hanging out, and we would be out till the sun came up, and I'd be coming home, and my mom was going to work, and we would all wait at the corner until she turned the corner to go to work, and then we would come to the house and have something to eat, and then go to sleep. That was our that was our world, and my mom couldn't understand what the hell we were doing. And when they call you buenos para nada, it's just like, and then we would tell my mom, oh yeah, well, we're all gonna be millionaires one day, you'll see. And that still hasn't happened, but not over yet.
But yeah, that comment was so true. It's like we it just gets me to think, and of course, for those of you watching, I finished watching the documentary. It's a 90-minute documentary, and it's a 90-minute story. And I watched it 30 minutes before we went on the air, so it's really fresh in my head. And as I was watching, I kept thinking, this could be anybody. This could be me.
Could have been anybody. It could have been your mom. It could have been my mom. Could have been your little sister, and it's very common, sadly.
To know that, because the moment I heard, I was for those. I'll give you the scenario for those of you. I was like, I want to watch it before we do the interview, but I also had some work to do. So I was watching it on the side of split screen. So I was mostly listening to it. But when the word agoraphobia came up, my antenna goes off. It's right away, because I'm like, oh, I know about that. And I was paying more attention. And I was thinking, change the person. That could be me in that apartment alone.
So, and I don't mean to be a downer, but this film would not have happened were it not for Vicky Sarmiento, the incredible civil rights lawyer who led us literally to almost every one of these discoveries and experts, including Paul Hoffman, including Roger Clark, the police practices expert. And sadly, she died. And she died this year, end of last year. And I'm sorry to say that it may have been related to some sort of clinical depression. So it's another thing. There's someone who championed that many. Her niche was incarcerated youth. So someone who has made that much change, is still struggling themselves. And, I think about her every day. And I know that we wouldn't have done this without her. And yet she was a warrior. And we have to do our best to continue exactly what you're doing, to tell these stories and uplift these people.
Well, we all carry all of our scars, and we're like wounded puppies, but we still go out there, and probably even more so, more so because we know it, like it speaks to us,
Take a deep breath.
No, sorry. It's a lot.
It just made me think, like, how blessed, and I know it's going to sound, for those of you watching, and how blessed was she that she had y'all to continue her story, to continue the legacy, to share this. Pero, like, how many people don't
have anyone? Yeah.
How many people just...
Yeah, I hear you.
Well,
I know.
Reach out. If you're out there, you're listening, you're watching, reach out. You're not alone. During this process, what we went through, we found out that it's mainly women of color that are killed. That police go into wellness checks, and then they end up murdering these people. And it's like they're not trained, they're not qualified, they don't understand the situation, and we need more of our own. We need I've heard there's like these these new series, about lawyers, Latino lawyers, and people who know who we are. I just heard there was a tribe that gave money to UCLA so that kids could train in tribal law. We need to be represented. We need people to care, and we need the people who know. What Eddie almost calls, who have the understanding. You know, like you Daniel, you are touched by this because you know it in your bones. You know.
Yeah.
It's like me. It's like me, being in Stand and Deliver and in American Me. I know these characters. These are my people. It's like somebody else would not have played them the way that I did.
Well, for those of you who have been watching, I've been putting up the pages where you can find them. So here's the Instagram page. Instagram, go to 90 minutes with an S, 90 minutes later film. You can find them on Facebook also at 90 minutes later.film, and on X at 90 minutes _later. So you can find them. If you want to connect, if you want to ask any questions, you can go to,
Correct. Yeah.
the Vanessa Marquez project at gmail.com. That you can contact Daniel and Cyndy at that email so that you can, if you have any questions. If you are in the New York area, when is the festival again, Cyndy?
It is, we are the first film in the festival. It starts on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Daniel and I will be there. We'll be speaking on a panel in the first block of films, probably around noon that day. And we're also nominated for an award.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The next question.
Yeah, we have a question for both of you. Do any of you two deal with any mental challenges, especially being involved in a business that requires so much mental stress?
Yes.
Not to simplify it and make fun of it, but yes, anybody in this business, yes.
As an actor, I have to be in touch with my feelings, with my emotions. So I went through 6 different therapists, to be able to get to a place where I could finally say, you know what, it's okay. I'm an artist, and it's all right for me to do this, because you kind of grow up thinking, like my friend, when he was little and he asked his dad for some crayons, his dad says, míralo, look at him, he's going to be a mechanic.
Mm.
He didn't
Yeah.
say he's going to be an artist. He said he's going to be a mechanic.
Yeah.
Because we're not expected. I'm the only, artistic person in my family. It's different with Cyndy. She has, her background is acting, but I didn't have anybody. And I just made it up as I went along. So my last therapist was all about creativity, and then accepting it, and then taking responsibility for it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Cyndy?
No, I think that pretty much says it all.
Yeah. For those of you watching, thank you for everybody. We went over like 10 minutes, but I wanted to make sure we got those questions and comments out. Again, let me post where you can find any information for those of you that are asking for it. Be prepared. All I can say is I don't want to give anything away because I want people to get the gist of, but be prepared. There's history in the documentary of the project. There's so much behind the face that we saw of Vanessa, and it's the raw footage from the police.
When we show the movie to a live audience, I go around and I apologize to people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I put you through this. But it's so hard for me to watch it. Still, even now, it's just like every time I see something, it's just too much. But we had to do it, and
Had to. Yeah.
we had to show you the webcam footage. We had to show you so that you could have those feelings that you are having, that this was a human being, a precious human being whose life was taken.
Um, there's a because I've been doing this for so long, and I get to see things beforehand sometimes. Usually, my brain goes to it's just a film. It's just the story. It's just something somebody created, and I'm watching it. When I go see a play, you're like, this is a play. These are not real people, and. Whew, realizing that this was an actual person, realizing that this wasn't the news, that this wasn't, and congratulations to both of you. The way you pieced it together, um, it gets to you. You're like, oh, I know this person. I've watched them. I saw them. I watched them weekly on TV. I know her. And you kind of forget where the story is going until you're there. And all I can say for anybody watching this interview, whether you're watching it live right now or you watch it and replay, when this comes to your area, go see it. Just be prepared. That's all I gotta say. Be prepared. But it
Yeah.
definitely has left an impression on me.
I can see that.
Yeah, Daniel, when every time I watch it, I always hope that it's gonna have a different end.
Yeah.
Is there
We
a
have to make,
trailer?
to make that end. That's the different end. We have to
Um,
make it.
They're asking, is there a trailer or a preview that they can watch anywhere?
Oh, sure. Yeah. How
It's
do I
on
get it to
YouTube,
you,
I'm
though?
sure.
Do you want me to put it on put it on our social media tonight?
Excellent.
Okay.
So make sure you go to the social media pages and
Yeah.
check out the preview. All the best at the film festival. I'm tongue tied now. All the best.
Sweet. My
I
God.
I truly hope. I truly hope that this documentary helps her get the recognition that she deserved.
Yeah. Thank you.
I know she has her friends and people that loved her, but not just for her, but for all the people that we don't know about.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Totally.
for those of us that put on that brave hat and walk out the door and go, I still have to live. I still have to do something.
You made it out the door.
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yes.
So I good luck seems to all the best energy and vibes that I can possibly send you.
Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you, Daniel.
yes,
And I appreciate you trusting me and sharing this story on my show.
of course.
It means a lot. For those of you watching, I'm going to put you in the green room, but don't go anywhere. I'm going to say goodbye to you too. Any last thoughts before I put you in the green room?
Yes. Wish us luck on Wednesday.
And tell all your friends, whoever you can, to support this.
Absolutely. We're going to keep showing that. All right, I'm going to put you in the green room. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to come back and say goodbye.
Thank you.
For those of you watching again, I hope you I hope you enjoyed the show. She's so, but I hope you learned something today. If you are out there, doesn't matter, Latino, white, black, whatever. If you are suffering from any mental health illness and you're able to and you're capable to and you're willing to reach out for help, please do so. If you can't find anybody else, reach us out here on the show and we will connect you with the right folks to get to. Look out for it. I will make sure to share more information once it reaches the LA area because I want to be there. I definitely want to be there when it opens up in LA and take the cameras and I will meet y'all there. And oh no, Charlie, thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for commenting. We totally appreciate it. But for now, I'm going to leave you. And this is Daniel G. Garza saying, hey, put it together. We'll see you next time.